Amanda Clark looked up at the clear night sky above the Nevada desert. Stars twinkled like diamonds against black velvet. The 22-year-old geology student had always loved stargazing, but tonight something felt different. The stars seemed closer somehow, watching her. "Hey, Professor Miller, I found another fragment," she called out, brushing sand from a small black rock. Amanda carefully placed it in her collection bag. This summer research trip was supposed to be about studying meteor impacts, not about changing her life forever. The desert night was quiet except for the gentle hum of the research team's equipment. 5 students and 2 professors had been camping here for 3 days, searching the impact site. Amanda walked back toward their base camp where lights glowed against the darkness. Then she saw it, a flash of purple light streaking across the sky. "Look," she pointed upward. The rest of the team turned their faces to the heavens. What they saw made them freeze in place. It wasn't a meteor. The light grew larger, revealing a massive ship unlike anything made on Earth. Its surface shimmered with an oily rainbow effect that seemed to bend the very light around it. Professor Miller dropped his clipboard. "Everyone back to the trucks, now." But it was too late. The desert around them suddenly lit up brighter than day. Amanda felt a strange tingling sensation across her skin. She tried to run, but her legs wouldn't move. A humming sound filled her ears, growing louder until she could feel it vibrating in her chest. "Dad?" she whispered, her last thought before everything went white. When Amanda opened her eyes, she was no longer in the desert. Cold metal pressed against her back. The air smelled wrong, too clean with a hint of something like cinnamon but sharper. She tried to sit up, but leather-like straps held her wrists and ankles. "Subject is conscious," said a voice that didn't sound human. The words were English, but spoken with clicks between syllables. Amanda turned her head. The being standing beside her was tall and thin with purple-gray skin that seemed to shimmer under the bright lights. Its eyes were huge, solid black orbs without pupils, and its mouth was small and lipless. "Where am I?" Amanda asked, fighting to keep her voice steady. "Where are my friends?" The alien, she couldn't think of it as anything else, tapped something on a clear tablet. "You will be processed separately. Your genetic material shows anomalies that require further study." Another alien entered the room. This one wore what looked like armor, shiny black plates covering its body. "Is this the one with the unusual brain patterns?" it asked. Affirmative. Scanning revealed active neural pathways not typical in Earth specimens. Amanda pulled against her restraints. "I'm not a specimen. I'm a person. You can't just take people." The first alien made a sound like falling pebbles, possibly laughter. "Your species has yet to achieve even basic interstellar travel. Under Zendari Imperial Code, pre-FTL species have no sovereign rights." The armored alien pressed something cold against Amanda's neck. She felt a sharp sting, then numbness spreading down her body. "Processing will continue once containment is secure," it said. Amanda woke again in a different place. This time she was in a small room with smooth pale green walls. A narrow bed, little more than a shelf with a thin mat, stuck out from one wall. A strange fixture that might have been a toilet sat in one corner. No windows, just a single door with no handle on her side. Her clothes were gone, replaced by a one-piece gray jumpsuit made of material that felt like cotton but stretched like rubber. A band of metal circled her right wrist, glowing with tiny lights. The door slid open. A different alien entered, this one shorter, with skin more blue than purple. "Follow," it said simply. Amanda considered refusing but saw no point. The room offered no escape and she needed information. She followed the alien into a curved hallway. Through occasional clear panels in the walls, she caught glimpses of space, endless blackness dotted with stars, and the curved edge of what must be Earth below. Her stomach lurched at the realization of how far from home she was. They entered a large room filled with other aliens, and to Amanda's surprise, humans. At least 30 people in identical gray jumpsuits sat or stood in small groups. Some cried, quietly. Others stared blankly, still in shock. "Amanda?" A familiar voice called from across the room. "Amanda Clark?" She turned to see Ryan Kelly, a student from her university who had been on a different research expedition. His face was bruised, one eye swollen. "Ryan, what happened to you?" Amanda hurried over. "I didn't go quietly," he said with a weak smile. "They took our whole team from Yosemite, weather station research. 1 minute we were checking equipment, the next..." He gestured around them. "Do you know what they want with us?" Amanda asked. Ryan shook his head. "They separate us into groups. Some people get taken away and don't come back. The aliens, they call themselves Zendari, they're all over Earth. This is happening everywhere." Amanda felt cold fear spreading through her body. "My dad, he needs to know I'm here." "No one on Earth can help us," said an older woman who joined their conversation. She introduced herself as Dr. Patel, an astronomer from California. "From what I've pieced together listening to the guards, they've done this before. They're an empire. They claim territories, take resources, collect specimens. Some of us will become workers. Others..." She didn't finish the sentence. A loud buzz filled the room. All the aliens suddenly stood straighter, facing a large screen on one wall. It flickered to life, showing another Zendari, this one wearing elaborate gold-colored armor and what looked like a crown of metal spikes. "Citizens of Earth," the alien said, its voice booming through hidden speakers. "I am High Commander Vexar of the Zendari Imperial Fleet. Your world is now under Zendari protection. Do not resist the collection teams. Compliant subjects will be treated well." The screen changed to show Earth cities with Zendari ships hovering overhead. In some places, people ran in panic. In others, lines of humans were being led into smaller vessels. "This is processing day 1, the commander continued. "Standard evaluation period is 60 rotations. Then your species status will be determined." The screen went blank. "What does that mean?" Amanda asked Dr. Patel. "They're deciding if humans are worth keeping alive," Ryan answered instead, his voice hollow. A group of armored Zendari entered the room. One held up a device that projected a list of symbols that meant nothing to Amanda, but then names in English appeared. "The following specimens will report for detailed processing," announced one of the aliens. It began reading names. Amanda Clark. She froze, heart pounding. "Step forward," the alien repeated when she didn't move. Amanda felt Ryan squeeze her hand. "Stay strong," he whispered. She walked forward on shaky legs. 5 other humans joined her, along with several aliens who must have been prisoners too. Beings of different shapes and colors, all wearing the same gray jumpsuits. They were led through more corridors deeper into the massive ship. Amanda tried to memorize the route but soon lost track of the identical hallways. Finally, they entered a room with multiple metal tables, each with restraints. The room smelled of chemicals and something else, something that made Amanda think of blood. "State your full identification for processing," ordered a Zendari in a white covering that reminded Amanda of a lab coat. "Amanda Clark," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "Place of origin?" "Columbus, Ohio, Earth." The alien made a note on its tablet. "Lineage?" Amanda didn't understand at first. "You mean my parents?" "Affirmative. Richard and Lisa Clark." The Zendari paused, its long fingers hovering over the tablet. "Richard Clark of Earth?" Something in its tone made Amanda pay attention. "Yes, my father." The alien turned to another Zendari and made rapid clicking sounds in their own language. The second alien looked at Amanda with what seemed like new interest. "Remain here," the first Zendari ordered, then both quickly left the room. Amanda stood, confused by their reaction. Why did her father's name matter to aliens who had never been to Earth before? What could they possibly know about Richard Clark? She didn't know that across the ship, urgent messages were already being sent to the Zendari High Command. She didn't know that her father's name had just changed everything. Richard Clark stared at the night sky from the roof of his isolated cabin in the mountains of Colorado. His telescope was pointed at the Zendari ships now visible to the naked eye in Earth's orbit. Unlike most humans who watched in terror, Richard's face showed determination. In the cabin below him, advanced equipment hummed and blinked, technology no other human on Earth possessed. Richard had built this place far from prying eyes for a reason. For 20 years he had kept secrets that would have seemed impossible to most people. "They're early," he muttered, adjusting the telescope's focus. The timeline wasn't supposed to be for another 5 years. He climbed down the ladder and entered the cabin, his shoulders tense. The main room looked ordinary enough. Wooden walls, simple furniture, a stone fireplace. But Richard walked straight to a bookshelf and pulled a specific volume. The entire shelf slid aside, revealing a hidden door. The room behind it contained banks of computers and strange devices with glowing symbols. Richard placed his palm on a smooth black panel. The largest screen lit up, showing a map of Earth, with dozens of red dots marking Zendari ship locations. "Commander, we've detected 13 capital ships and over 40 collection vessels," said a voice that seemed to come from nowhere. "Any word from our contacts in the Arcturan Council?" Richard asked. "They've been notified, sir. Ambassador Lorne has already launched. Estimated arrival, 3 Earth days." Richard paced the room. 3 days might be too late for many humans being processed by the Zendari. He had hoped for more time to prepare Earth's governments, to begin the careful process of revealing the truth. Now he had no choice. "Begin protocol sunbreak," Richard ordered. "Sir, that protocol was designed as a last resort. The consequences. They have my daughter Eli." Silence followed this statement. Then the voice. Eli, apparently an artificial intelligence, responded softly. "Activating protocol sunbreak. All sleeper agents being notified. Your ship is preparing for launch." Richard walked to a wall that slid open to reveal a closet. Inside hung a uniform unlike anything on Earth, a deep blue jumpsuit with silver insignia on the shoulders. As he changed clothes, Richard's mind drifted back 20 years. He had been an astronaut on what the public thought was a failed Mars mission. The truth was far more complex. His ship had been intercepted halfway to Mars by an Arcturan scientific vessel. The highly advanced aliens had not meant to reveal themselves to humans yet, but Richard's ship had accidentally crossed paths with them during an important research mission, rather than simply return him to Earth with altered memories. As they had done with previous human encounters, the Arcturans had seen something special in Richard. After extensive testing, they offered him a choice: return to Earth and forget everything, or become Earth's first secret ambassador to the galactic community. Richard chose the latter. He spent 5 years aboard Arcturan ships, learning their language and technology, visiting 12 different star systems and meeting 7 intelligent species. He learned about the complex politics of the galaxy, including the expansionist Zendari Empire that had been pushing into new territories for centuries. When he finally returned to Earth, only his wife Lisa knew the truth. To everyone else, he was just a former astronaut who had survived a near disaster in space and now lived a quiet life. Meanwhile, he worked with the Arcturans to prepare Earth for eventual first contact, something that should have happened gradually, when humanity was ready. Now the Zendari had forced his hand. Richard opened a small safe hidden under the floor and removed a silver device the size of his palm. It was shaped like a star with 7 points, each tipped with a blue crystal. This was his emergency beacon, given to him by Ambassador Lorne. Using it would alert not just the Arcturans but all their allies that Earth needed immediate assistance. Before he could activate it, his secure communication system chimed. On the screen appeared symbols that shifted into English letters. Urgent message, Zendari command ship. Richard's heart pounded. How had they found his hidden communication channel? Had they discovered his identity already? The message was brief. Richard Clark of Earth. We have your offspring, Amanda Clark. Request immediate communication. Richard felt both fear and hope. The Zendari knew who he was. That meant they knew who he represented. Perhaps Amanda wasn't in immediate danger, But it also meant the Zendari now knew Earth had connections they hadn't anticipated. He typed a response. Proof of life required. Then we talk. The reply came quickly. A video feed showing Amanda in a room with gray walls. She looked frightened but unharmed. A timestamp in the corner showed this was live footage. Dad? Amanda's voice shook. Dad, these aliens know your name. What's happening? A Zendari officer moved into the frame. Satisfactory proof provided. Will you speak now, Richard Clark of Earth, representative of the Arcturan High Council? Richard took a deep breath. His cover was completely blown. I will speak with your highest authority only, and my daughter remains unharmed. The Zendari made a gesture that might have been agreement. High Commander Vexar will speak with you. One standard hour. The screen went dark. Richard immediately activated the star-shaped beacon. 7 blue lights pulsed in sequence, sending a signal faster than light across thousands of light years. Help would come, but he needed to buy time. He walked to another hidden panel and pressed his hand against it. The floor opened, revealing a circular platform. Richard stepped onto it and descended into a larger chamber beneath the cabin. Here stood his ship, a sleek vessel combining Arcturan design with human aesthetics. Named the Starlight Promise, it was faster and more advanced than anything the Zendari had. 6 people were already inside, preparing for launch. They were Richard's team, other humans who had been secretly recruited and trained over the years. Each had been carefully selected for their skills and ability to adapt to the truth about humanity's place in the galaxy. Commander on deck called out Lily Gordon, his second in command and Earth's second human to visit other star systems. Status report, Richard said as he took his place in the command chair. Ship is ready for launch, Lily reported. All systems functional, weapons charged, stealth systems active. Do we have a lock on the Zendari command ship? Yes, sir. It's in high Earth orbit above the Pacific. Richard nodded grimly. That's where they're holding Amanda. I'll be speaking with their commander in 1 hour. By then, I want us in position. You don't trust them, Lily observed. The Zendari Empire didn't get to control 17 star systems by being trustworthy, Richard replied. They respect power and fear consequences. I'm about to show them both. As the Starlight Promise prepared to launch, Richard knew the next few hours would change humanity's future forever. What the Zendari didn't understand yet was that taking Amanda Clark might have been the biggest mistake in their empire's long history. The ship rose silently through a hidden opening in the mountainside. Its outer hull shimmered and then seemed to vanish as the advanced cloaking technology engaged. No Earth radar would detect it. No Zendari sensors would see it coming. Richard had 1 hour until his meeting with High Commander Vexar. 1 hour to position his most powerful bargaining chip. And somewhere in orbit above Earth his daughter waited, still confused about why aliens from across the galaxy knew her father's name. Amanda sat in what the Zendari called guest quarters, though she knew it was still a prison. The gray walls had been replaced with pale blue ones. The hard bench was now a proper bed. They had even provided her with clean clothes and food that almost resembled Earth cuisine, all because of her last name, because of her father. The door slid open and the Zendari officer she now knew as Commander Vexar entered. He was taller than the others, with more elaborate markings on his purple-gray, skin and armor that gleamed with symbols of rank. Amanda Clark, he said, his voice less harsh than before. Your comfort is satisfactory? Amanda stood up, trying to appear brave. Why am I here? What do you know about my father? Vexar's large eyes blinked slowly. Your father is known to us. His name appears in our intelligence files from the Arcturan border conflicts. I don't understand. My dad is just a former astronaut. He lives in Colorado. He builds cabins. The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. Is that what you believe? Richard Clark is much more than that. He is the reason you have been moved to protected status. A screen on the wall flickered to life, showing her father's face. He looked different somehow, more serious, wearing a uniform she had never seen before. Amanda, Richard said, his voice tight with emotion. Are you hurt? Dad. What's happening? These aliens know you. I'll explain everything soon, I promise. Richard looked past her to Vexar. I've held up my end. Now I want to speak with your Emperor. Vexar made a gesture with his long fingers. The Supreme Emperor does not speak directly with representatives of unaligned worlds. I am authorized to negotiate on behalf of the Zendari Empire. Richard's eyes narrowed. Then you should know that Arcturan ships will reach Earth space within 2 days. The Pleiadian Trade Federation has also been notified of your unauthorized incursion into protected territory. Amanda watched in confusion as Vexar's posture changed. The alien seemed almost nervous now. Earth is not registered as protected territory in our databases, Vexar said carefully. Check again, Richard replied. Under the 7th Concordat, Earth falls under Arcturan protection. Your presence here violates 3 separate treaties. The screen split to show another alien face, this one with pale blue skin and silvery eyes. Amanda gasped. It wasn't human, but it wasn't Zendari either. This is Ambassador Lorne of the Arcturan High Council, Richard explained. He can confirm Earth's status. Vexar turned to another Zendari officer who had entered the room. They spoke, rapidly in their clicking language. Amanda couldn't understand the words, but she recognized panic when she saw it. The screen went blank. Vexar turned back to Amanda. You will remain here while we verify these claims. After he left, Amanda sat, down heavily on the bed. Her mind raced with questions. Her father knew aliens. He spoke of treaties and protection. None of this made sense with what she knew of her quiet, reserved dad, who built furniture and rarely left their mountain home. Elsewhere on the massive Zendari command ship, High Commander Vexar faced a crisis. His subordinates scrambled around him, checking databases and sending urgent communications to the Zendari homeworld. How did we miss this, he demanded. A protected world should have been flagged in our initial survey. The protection status was hidden, Commander. A science, officer explained. It appears Earth was listed under a code designation, not its actual name. Our automated systems failed to make the connection. And this, Richard Clark? What do we know about him? Another officer brought up a file on the main screen. Richard, Clark appears in our records from the border negotiations 12 cycles ago. He was an advisor to the Arcturan delegation. There were rumors he was from an unknown species, but nothing confirmed. Vexar paced the command center. So we have invaded a protected world and taken the daughter of an Arcturan representative hostage. This could be seen as an act of war. It gets worse, Commander, the science officer said quietly. Our long-range sensors have detected ships changing course toward this system. Arcturan diplomatic vessels, yes, but also Syrian warships. The command center went silent. The Syrian collective was known for their advanced weapons technology and their absolute commitment to their allies. If they were coming, the situation was far more serious than just a diplomatic incident. How long until they arrive? Vexar asked. The Arcturans, 2 Earth days as claimed. The Syrians, they could be here within hours. They must have had stealth, ships already positioned nearby. Vexar made a decision. Prepare my shuttle. I will meet with Richard Clark in person. Meanwhile, aboard the Cloak Starlight Promise, Richard and his crew monitored the frantic communications between Zendari ships. They're panicking, Lily observed, listening to the translated transmissions. They've realized they made a serious mistake, Richard nodded grimly. Good. Fear will make them cautious. Commander, called out Eric Mason, their sensor specialist. I'm detecting a small Zendari shuttle leaving the command ship. It's on a direct course to the coordinates you transmitted. They took the bait, Richard said. They think I'm still at the cabin. What's your plan, sir? Asked Lily. Richard studied the tactical display showing Earth and the positions of all detected ships. We let them land at the cabin. The automated systems will handle the initial meeting. Meanwhile, we use the distraction to dock with their command ship and extract Amanda. And if they've moved her, then we take control of their command ship and search every inch of it. Lily looked concerned. Sir, with all due respect, our ship is advanced, but we're still outnumbered. Taking on an entire Zendari fleet is, We won't be alone for long, Richard interrupted. The Syrian advance force will be here within 3 hours. Ambassador Lorne's ship's not long after. Back in her quarters, Amanda paced nervously. Something big was happening, and somehow her father was at the center of it. She jumped when the door slid open again. A different Zendari entered, smaller, with less elaborate armor. Come, you are being relocated. Amanda hesitated. Where? Safer location, Commander's orders. Suspicious, Amanda backed away. I want to speak to Commander Vexar first. The Zendari moved quickly, grabbing her arm. No time. Must move now. Amanda reacted instinctively, using a self-defense move her father had taught her years ago. She twisted free, then drove her elbow into the alien's midsection. The Zendari doubled over, clearly surprised by her strength and skill. Alarms began to sound throughout the ship. Amanda ran into the corridor, not knowing where to go, but determined not to be a passive captive anymore. Other Zendari appeared, at the end of the hallway, pointing at her and calling for backup. Amanda turned and ran the opposite direction. As she rounded a corner, she collided with another being. She prepared to fight again, but stopped short. This wasn't a Zendari. The being before her stood upright like a human, but had blue skin that seemed to shimmer with tiny lights. Its eyes were large and silver without pupils, and it wore a simple white robe with intricate designs along the edges. Amanda Clark, it said in perfect English. I am Teller, sent by Ambassador Lorne. I've come to bring you to safety. You're Arcturan? Amanda guessed. Teller nodded. Yes. Your father is an honored friend of our people. Now we must hurry. This ship will soon be in chaos. As if to emphasize his point, the lights in the corridor flickered. A deep rumble passed through the floor beneath their feet. What was that? Amanda asked. Teller's expression might have been a smile. That would be your father, making his presence known to the Zendari Empire. The Zendari command ship shook again. Red emergency lights flashed through the corridors as Amanda followed Teller, the Arcturan rescuer. His blue skin glowed slightly in the dimness, making him easy to follow. What exactly is my father doing? Amanda asked as they rushed through the massive ship. Creating a distraction, Teller replied. The Starlight Promise is targeting the Zendari ship's non-essential systems, weapons control, secondary engines, communication arrays. Amanda ducked as sparks showered from an overhead panel. That's my dad's ship? The Starlight Promise? Your father commands the most advanced human Arcturan hybrid vessel ever created. It is a symbol of our alliance. They reached what looked like a dead end, but Teller placed his hand against the wall. A hidden door slid open, revealing a narrow passage. Maintenance access, he explained. The Zendari build all their ships with the same basic design. We've studied them for decades. As they moved through the hidden corridor, Amanda's mind raced with questions. Her quiet father, who spent his days in a workshop building furniture, was actually the commander of an alien-human hybrid spaceship. The man who rarely left their mountain home was known across the galaxy. Did my mother know? She asked suddenly. Teller glanced back at her. Lisa Clark was one of the bravest humans I ever met. She understood the importance of Richard's work and the need for secrecy. Amanda's eyes widened. You knew my mom? She visited Arcturus Prime twice. She helped design the cultural exchange programs that would have been implemented when Earth was officially welcomed into the galactic community. Before Amanda could ask more questions, they reached another door. Teller pressed a small device against it, and symbols lit up across its surface. This will take us to Docking Bay 17. My ship is waiting there. Meanwhile, in the Zendari command center, chaos reigned. Officers shouted reports as systems failed across the massive vessel. Weapons offline. Communication with the fleet is down. Shields at 40% and failing. High Commander Vexar had returned from his shuttle mission to find his flagship under attack. His trip to Earth's surface had been a waste of time. Richard Clark was not at the coordinates provided. It was a diversion. Vexar realized too. Late. Where is the human girl? A security officer checked the monitors. She escaped during the first attack. Internal sensors show her moving through Section C with an Arcturan. Vexor slammed his fist against a console. They were already aboard. How did they penetrate our security? Commander, called another officer. 3 Syrian warships have decloaked near Earth's moon. They're demanding our immediate surrender. Vexor stared at the tactical display in disbelief. The situation was deteriorating by the minute. Richard Clark had outmaneuvered him completely. Open a direct channel to Clark, he ordered. The main screen flickered, showing Richard in the command chair of his ship. The bridge behind him looked nothing like Zendari design. It was sleek, with curved surfaces and displays that seemed to float in the air. "Hi, Commander," Richard said calmly. "Are you ready to discuss terms?" "You deceived us," Vexor accused. "You were never at the Earth location you provided." Richard's expression remained neutral. "And you invaded a protected world and took my daughter. I'd say deception is the least of your concerns right now." "Your daughter is no longer in our custody," Vexor admitted. "An Arcturan agent has taken her." "I know. Teller works for me." On the screen, Richard received a message from someone off camera. He nodded, then turned back to Vexor with a slight smile. "My daughter is safely aboard Teller's ship and preparing to dock with the Starlight Promise. Now let's discuss your withdrawal from Earth space." Elsewhere on the Zendari ship, Amanda and Teller had reached Docking Bay 17. A small silver craft waited there, unlike the angular Zendari vessels. It was shaped like a teardrop, its surface rippling with what looked like liquid metal. "Arcturan scout ship," Teller explained, "faster than anything the Zendari have." As they approached, the ship's side seemed to melt open, creating a doorway. Inside was a single room with 2 seats surrounded by floating displays. "Strap in," Teller instructed as they entered. "Departure may be rough." Amanda barely had time to secure herself before the ship hummed to life. The opening they had entered through sealed seamlessly. The displays around them showed the docking bay, including several Zendari soldiers who burst in, weapons raised. "Too late," Teller said, his fingers dancing across symbols in the air. The scout ship shot forward, passing through the docking bays, force field into open space. Amanda gasped as Earth came into view, a beautiful blue sphere partially visible beyond the massive Zendari command ship. "There," Teller pointed. A sleek vessel appeared from behind the Zendari ship. Unlike the bulky Imperial vessels, this ship was elegant, with sweeping lines and a blue-silver hull that caught the sunlight. "The Starlight Promise," Amanda whispered. "Dad's ship." The scout ship accelerated toward it, expertly dodging debris from the damaged sections of the Zendari vessel. As they approached, a section of the Starlight Promise opened like a flower blooming, revealing a docking bay. Once safely aboard, Amanda unbuckled and followed Teller through corridors unlike anything she had seen on the Zendari ship. These hallways had warm lighting, living plants growing along the walls and what looked like windows showing space outside. "The ship is partially organic," Teller explained, noticing her wonder. "Arcturan biotechnology merged with human engineering." They entered an elevator that moved not just up and down but in all directions. When the doors opened, Amanda found herself on the bridge. Richard Clark stood from his command chair, his eyes finding his daughter immediately. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Amanda ran forward and threw her arms around her father. "You have a spaceship," she said into his shoulder. "An actual spaceship." Richard laughed, the sound both familiar and strange in these surroundings. "I have a lot of explaining to do." "You think?" Amanda pulled back, wiping tears from her eyes. Richard turned to a woman standing nearby. "Amanda, this is Lily Gordon, my second in command." Lily smiled warmly. "I've heard so much about you. Your father keeps your picture on his desk, even during our deep space missions." "Deep space?" Amanda shook her head in disbelief. "How long has this been going on?" 20 years, Richard admitted. "Since before you were born?" A man at one of the control stations called out, "Commander, incoming transmission from the Syrian fleet." Richard nodded. "Put it through." The main screen showed a being that looked almost human except for gray skin and eyes with vertical pupils like a cat's. "Commander Clark," the Syrian said. "The advance fleet is in position. The Zendari ships are surrounded." "Thank you, Captain. Vero, please hold position but do not fire unless fired upon. I believe the Zendari are ready to negotiate." The screen split to show Vexar again. The Zendari commander looked distinctly uncomfortable. "Your terms, Clark?" Richard's voice hardened. "All Zendari ships will withdraw from Earth space immediately. All humans taken in your collection efforts will be returned unharmed. Earth will be officially registered as a protected world under the Galactic Concordat, with its status publicly acknowledged by the Zendari Empire." Vexar's mandibles clicked in what might have been agitation. "The Emperor will not be pleased." "The Emperor should be grateful I'm not demanding reparations for this unprovoked invasion," Richard countered. "You have 1 hour to begin withdrawal." The screen went dark as the transmission ended. Richard turned to his crew. "Maintain battle stations. I don't trust them to leave without at least considering a fight." Amanda looked around the bridge at the humans and aliens working together with practiced efficiency. This was a side of her, father she had never imagined existed. "Dad," she said quietly, "when this is over, I want to know everything." Richard placed a hand on her shoulder. "You deserve the truth, and after today, the whole world will need to know it too. Earth can't stay isolated anymore." On the main view screen, they watched as the Zendari ships began to move, slowly turning away from Earth. 3 days after the confrontation with the Zendari fleet, Amanda stood beside her father in a hidden underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains. The large room was filled with world leaders and military officials from every major nation on Earth. Many looked shell-shocked, still trying to process the reality that humans were not alone in the universe. "Ladies and gentlemen," Richard addressed the assembly, "I know this is overwhelming. For 20 years I've kept the truth about our place in the galaxy secret. That time is over now." On massive screens around the room, images showed the Zendari, ships departing Earth orbit, the arrival of the Arcturan diplomatic fleet, and the imposing Syrian warships that had helped force the Zendari retreat. "The good news is that Earth is now officially recognized as a protected world under the Galactic Concordat," Richard continued. "The Zendari Empire has withdrawn all forces and returned over 10,000 humans they had taken." A woman in a military uniform stood up. "Mr. Clark, with all due respect, how do we know these other aliens, these Arcturans and Syrians, aren't just another threat?" Amanda watched her father carefully consider his answer. She was still adjusting to this new version of him. Not just her quiet dad who built cabins, but a respected diplomat who navigated interstellar politics. "General Chen, I understand your concern," Richard replied. "But the Arcturans have been quietly watching over Earth for centuries. They believe each species should develop at their own pace, without interference. They only revealed themselves to me because of a chance encounter in space." "And you've been working for them since?" asked the President of the United States. "Not for them. With them," Richard corrected. "Everything I've done has been to protect Earth and prepare us for the reality of galactic civilization. The Arcturans offered knowledge and protection, but never asked for anything that would harm humanity." As the questioning continued, Amanda slipped away from the main room. She found a quiet corridor where she could breathe and process everything that had happened. Her life had completely changed in less than a week. She had been abducted by aliens, discovered her father's secret identity, and now stood at the center of humanity's first official contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. "It's a lot to take in, isn't it?" Amanda turned to find Teller, the Arcturan who had rescued her, standing nearby. In the proper lighting of the Earth facility, she could see more details of his appearance, the subtle patterns on his blue skin that seemed to shift with his movements, the silver eyes that reflected light like mirrors. "That's an understatement," Amanda replied. "A week ago I was worried about my geology finals. Now I'm watching my dad explain aliens to world leaders." Teller made a gentle humming sound that Amanda was learning signified Arcturan amusement. "Your father has carried a heavy burden. He has served as the bridge between worlds for a long time. Soon that burden will be shared by all of humanity. Including me? Amanda asked. Especially you, came another voice. Ambassador Lorne approached, his robes more elaborate than Teller's, marking his high status. You are the daughter of Richard Clark, the first human to be known across multiple star systems. The Zendari seizure of you has become quite the diplomatic incident. Amanda frowned. I'm not sure I want to be famous across the galaxy. Fame is not what matters, Lorne said kindly. Understanding is. You have experienced both worlds now. The human world where aliens were just stories and the reality of the galactic community. That perspective is valuable. Before Amanda could respond, a young aide rushed up to them. Ms. Clark, Ambassador, Lorne, you're needed in the main chamber. The Zendari Emperor is making contact. They hurried back to the assembly room. On the largest screen was a Zendari unlike any Amanda had seen before. Its skin was almost black rather than purple-gray, and it wore an elaborate headdress that seemed made of living metal, shifting and flowing around its elongated head. People of Earth, the Emperor's voice boomed through the speakers. I am Supreme Emperor Kazek of the Zendari Stellar Empire. I extend my apologies for the unauthorized actions of our collection fleet. Richard stood tall before the screen. Your apology is noted, Emperor Kazek. Will the Zendari Empire formally recognize Earth's protected status under the Concordat? The Emperor's large eyes narrowed slightly. We will. The formal recognition has been transmitted to the Galactic Council. Earth is now officially under protection of the Arcturan High Council, with all rights and privileges that entails. Amanda could tell from the Emperor's tone that the words were bitter to him. The Zendari Empire had made a serious miscalculation by taking her, and it had cost them dearly in terms of galactic politics. Furthermore, the Emperor continued, as a gesture of goodwill, we offer technological assistance in cleaning your planet's atmosphere and oceans, a small matter for our science division. Whispers erupted among the Earth leaders. Even the offer of environmental technology was significant. We accept your gesture, Emperor, Richard replied diplomatically. This marks a new beginning for relations between Earth and the Zendari Empire. After the transmission ended, the room erupted in discussion. Amanda made her way to her father's side. They're really afraid of you, aren't they? She asked quietly. Richard smiled slightly. Not just me. They're afraid of the alliances I represent. The Zendari respect power above all else. When they realized Earth wasn't just an isolated world but had connections to the Arcturans, Syrians, and Pleiadians, well, it changed their calculations. All because they took someone with the last name Clark, Amanda said. Yes, Richard put his arm around her shoulders. Though I wish you hadn't been put in danger. I always planned to tell you everything when you turned 25. I thought we had time. Amanda leaned against her father. It's okay, Dad. I understand why you kept secrets. Over the next few hours, plans were made for humanity's first official steps into the galactic community. Ambassador Lorne announced that Earth would be granted observer status on the Galactic Council. Richard presented a timeline for the careful introduction of alien technology that wouldn't disrupt Earth's development too quickly. As the meeting finally wound down, Amanda found herself standing with her father at a large window overlooking the mountain range. In the clear night sky above, new lights were visible, the diplomatic ships maintaining position in Earth orbit. What happens now? Amanda asked. Richard looked at his daughter with pride. Now you decide your own path. You know the truth about our place in the universe. You can continue your studies on Earth or you could join me on the Starlight Promise. The Arcturan Academy has offered you a place if you want it, the first human student in their 1,000-year history. Amanda stared at the stars, thinking about the incredible journey that had brought her here. A week ago, she'd been a geology student worried about finals. Now she was being offered the chance to study among the stars. I think, she said slowly, the Zendari did me a favor. They showed me that the universe is much bigger than I imagined. She turned to her father with a smile. And I want to see all of it. Richard hugged his daughter tightly. In abducting Amanda Clark, the Zendari Empire had made a serious diplomatic error. But they had also inadvertently introduced a new Clark to the galactic stage. One who would someday make her own name known across the stars.